You're listening to the Urban Sports Scene. I'm Wole, and I'm joined with my main guy, Ray Jeezy. What's going on, Ray?
What's up, brother?
It's
What's
good,
going
man. Hey,
on?
we're doing an afternoon show, bro.
We always
Wow.
doing afternoon
I
shows, man.
know,
And you
right?
you see what's going on in the NFCs. The Eagles, they having that infight and they trying to smooth it over, but it's there for the taking for your guys, Wole.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely there for the taking. But you know what? Like, I'm kind of vibing this afternoon thing, though. I got more energy. I came from the gym. I'm feeling good about myself, my life. It's good, man. The afternoon kind of works. Late night,
Uh,
you be all tired and stuff. You know what I'm saying? It kind of works. I'm not gonna lie to
could
y'all,
be
man.
a could be a preview of what the future might look like,
It
man. Get a
could
peek
be.
of
It could be. Anyway, you can check us out on our website, which is www.urbansportscene.com. Before we tackle this the topic of the Commanders, let's handle some logistics. Subscribe to our podcast on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, all where you can find podcast information. Make sure you just follow us there, subscribe, hit the rate us as well. If you're on our rating system, hit us with a rating. It's 5 stars, man. We're looking for 5 stars. So hit us with a 5-star. Like I mentioned on YouTube, you're watching this on our YouTube channel. Hit that red subscribe button. Also like this video. It's growing, man. Right now, our YouTube channel is growing. We're trying to get to 900. So if it's the 900, we're right there. So if you're on there right now, hit that red subscribe button. Also like this video. Liking this video does wonders for our algorithm. It puts us on that Commanders search engine. So you put us there, like it. Commander fans like this.
Sheesh.
It helps us all out. So what you say, Ray?
You were like a pastor asking for offering, bro.
I'm good. Don't worry about it.
If they go and support us, they're going to support us, brother.
Yes, this is how it works, Ray. You gotta watch all podcasts. This is how it works. Obviously, you don't watch enough of them. I can tell. This is how it all works. You gotta tell them where to go. You gotta guide them to the light. Moses had to guide them, bro. Across the Red Sea. Moses had to do it. You gotta guide the folks, bro.
Crazy, man.
Get to tweet us at Urban Sports. Hit us up on IG and TikTok at Urban Sports Scene, like our Urban Sports Scene Facebook page. Hey, IG geeking right now. So if you're trying to watch us on IG is not working. I think they've been hacked by whoever. So IG ain't really working right now. But yeah, if anything, y'all can watch us here. Also join our Urban Sports Scene Facebook group. Search Urban Sports Scene, sports bloggers, sports podcasters, and sports debates.
Hey, check us out on NFL. No, check out our NFL picks. I'm sorry, on football.
You sound like me now. Come on,
yeah, I'm just saying because this is the one part that I'm assigned, y'all. My part is minimal here. But check out my man Haku Wong on footballcarverstime.com. Those guys do great work, and the Urban Sports Scene competes annually against the Football Garbage Time podcast, picking these weekly NFL games. And family, I'm still in 8th place out of 9 people. But shout out to my guy Wole and George who are holding it down for the Urban Sports Scene in that challenge. Again, go to www.footballgarbagetime.com.
Am I really holding it down?
You're ahead of me, bro.
Oh, okay. I don't think that's holding it down. I'm around the last. I'm around the bottom. So I don't ever hold it down. Anyway, let's get into our tradition of pregame. Here's what we have on tap. Senior writer for Saints News Network and co-host of Bayou Blitz podcast, Bob Rose will join us to preview the Commanders versus the Saints matchup. He'll give us some insight on the New Orleans Saints.
All right, here we go. Mm-hmm. So, family, welcome to the Urban Sports Scene. Mr. Bob Rose, senior writer for Saints News Network and co-host, like Wole just said, the Bayou Blitz podcast. Bob, what's happening? Welcome to the Urban Sports Scene. And Bob, as you see, my name is Ray Rogers, right? So I've been called Roy a whole lot. I've been wanting to call you Bob Ross, the painter, since I've seen your name. So that's why I almost fumbled that. But how you doing, brother?
Ray, Wole, I appreciate you having me on. Ray, listen, I've been called worse. I've been called worse today. So yeah, you could do a hell of a lot worse. And I got to side with Wole too. He knows how to promote, how to get those likes, how to get those subscriptions. I know with us, I've been threatening to start a Bayou Blitz OnlyFans page if we don't get get subscriptions and stuff like that. So that is a legitimate threat, ladies and gentlemen.
Look, Look, yes, Ray. You call me Pastor Wally all you want. Wole, Pastor Wole, if you want to, bro.
No, I like Brother Wole. I like Brother Wole, brother.
Brother Wole. And you got comments from my man Paul, Ray.
I'm not messing with Paul right now. We'll talk about the Falcons another day, Paul. This is about the Saints versus the Commanders. Your Commanders, Paul. This game is a big game because you predicted 10 wins, Paul. What's up?
Yeah. So let's get into it. Bob, Derek Carr has a fractured hand.
Yeah.
Commander fans are kind of excited about this, to be honest with you.
Wow.
Do you expect him to kind of, because he's a tough dude, do you expect for him to try to play? Or if not, who will be the quarterback on Sunday?
No, I don't expect him to play. I certainly hope he does because he's the quarterback that gives this team their best chance to win. I know that's not a big statement, but I mean, Spencer Rattler, I think, proved that he wasn't ready to go. And Jake Haener. If I could put Spencer Rattler's physical skills, and stature and gifts into Jake Haener's mind, I'd have myself maybe a decent quarterback or something to develop. But Carr not only has that fractured hand, he's dealing with a concussion too. Yeah. So I'm not even sure he'd clear concussion protocol. If he does, I agree he's a tough guy, but I would be absolutely shocked to see him play. Which means last I checked, the Vegas line had Washington favored by 8 or 8.5 points. Wow. In New Orleans, no less. Yeah. So I'm still taking those points and running with it. Assuming Carr doesn't go, I have a feeling that Jake Haener is going to get the start. Ooh. I know Rattler got the 3 starts earlier when Carr was sidelined with that oblique, which frankly surprised me because Haener had been the number 2 all season leading up to that point. Haener went back to number 2, or stayed at number 2 rather, when Carr was healthy again. But I think the coaches have seen what they needed to see, at least this year, out of Spencer. They're going to give Jake a shot, presuming that Carr misses probably most of the rest of the season, all of the rest of the season. They'll give Haener a shot, is my hunch. And if Jake doesn't play well, then we'll see Rattler again.
So I want to speak about Rattler because I was a fan of Rattler. I'm not gonna lie, in the draft process, I liked him in Oklahoma. Then he transferred to South Carolina, so I've always been a fan of him. He, like you said, he has the physical tools, but what is it over there in New Orleans where he's just not getting it in terms of playing the quarterback position the right way?
I watched a lot of Spencer Rattler in college too, both with South Carolina and Oklahoma. And you want to talk about an NFL arm? He's got it. He is a true competitor. He's the kind of guy that, personality-wise, I'd like in my huddle. So I have no problem with that part. But the Spencer Rattler I saw throughout college, and it is extended so far into the pros, is a guy that really can't read defenses and can't make decisive decisions under pressure. Now, obviously, the kid's just a rookie, so he still has an upward arc, and the coaches are going to give him every chance in the world with those physical gifts he has. His biggest weakness that I've noticed or believed in college, his inability to read the defenses, so far has carried over into the pros. And now you're talking about a Saints offense without Chris Olave, without Rashid Shaheed, without Taysom Hill, and with an offensive line is playing like a JV unit or junior high versus varsity unit. Rattler's probably the better athlete than Jake is too, but Jake just seems to make quicker decisions with the football.
So, before we get into move down to the topic, I want to talk about Derek Carr, who may not play. What is it about why people hate on Derek Carr? Because I'm it's proven. It's almost like the whole Tua effect in Miami. When he's on that team, the team is far better with Derek Carr. So it's like you have to give him his flowers because you see the alternative. When he's on the football field, this team is very competitive. And you mentioned some of the guys they are missing. He's competitive with some of these dudes they are missing. And people tend to really rag on, it's Derek Carr doing Derek Carr things. And I'm like, is that really fair?
No, it's not fair. But I'll tell you why there's so much hate for Derek Carr. It's this simple. He's not Drew Brees. And this fan base got spoiled by Drew Brees. You don't get as much hate from the more I don't like to call me old, so I'll just say the more experienced Saints fans that have had to deal with the Mike Ditka horrors of the Billy Joe Tolliver, Billy Joe Hobert, Heath Schuler. Jake Delhomme, who turned out to be a pretty good quarterback, but not in New Orleans. Dave Wilson, you're reaching way, way back. And over the hill, Kenny Stabler. I was just on a show last night talking about this. For the first 40 years of the Saints' existence, Drew Brees came in year 40. For the first 40 years of the Saints' existence, the debate when talking about who is the best quarterback in this franchise's history was Archie Manning, Bobby Hebert, Jim Everett, and I love Jim, but Hall of Famer he was not, and Aaron Brooks. Those are the 4 best quarterbacks in franchise history. That's not a great list to choose from. So again, us older fans, we remember those days. But the younger fans have gotten spoiled by Drew Brees, and the Saints are now staring into a franchise quarterback abyss. I mean, you look throughout the history of the league. How long did it take the Denver Broncos to sufficiently replace John Elway? How long did it take the Bills to replace Jim Kelly? Steelers to replace Terry Bradshaw? I could go on and on and on. I hope to God it doesn't take the Saints that long to find a serviceable quarterback again. But the thing about Derek Carr is, my opinion, there are 6 to 8 legitimate franchise quarterbacks that will be successful in any system, under any coach, in any circumstance. Outside of that, there's probably 3 or 4 other ones that you could win a championship with in the right situation. And then there are about 10 or 12 quarterbacks, and Derek Carr is included in this list, where you could just literally throw their name into a hat, close your eyes and pick that name out of a hat. And I think I can win a couple games with this guy. I think I can maybe make the playoffs with this guy. If I have the right supporting cast, if I have the right coach, if I have the right defense, if he gets on a hot streak. Derek Carr's one of those guys. Is he the bottom 3 or 4 quarterbacks in the league? Absolutely not. But he's probably somewhere in that 12 to 15 or 15 to 20 range, a guy you can win with. But these fans have just gotten so spoiled by Drew Brees, and the talent around Derek Carr isn't to the point where you could be a legitimate perennial playoff contender with him at quarterback.
That's a good point. It's a good point.
Man, Bob, go ahead.
I like Derek Carr. I picked this team to be a playoff team. Frankly, I overestimated the talent around him. The offensive line is way worse than what I thought. 0 receiving depth, 0 running back depth. So once even a Derek Carr, and you're right, Wole. Derek has kept this team competitive, without Shaheed and Olave and all those other guys. But he's not a guy you're going to win a division title with or go on a playoff run without those guys either. And the depth of talent just isn't there for Derek.
So before I let Ray go with his question, there's a question my man Paul has for you, Bob. He says, "Question: how is the Saints defense performed?"
They have a defense.
Hey, Paul, you got your answer.
The words abysmal, pathetic, putrid all come to mind. This team can't stop a cold when it comes to stopping the running game. To give you an idea how the Saints defense has performed this year, Tampa Bay running back Sean Tucker had 53 career yards in 16 games before facing the Saints. Against the Saints, he had 194 total yards.
Jeez. Since
that day, he's had less than 100 all-purpose yards. I could go on and on, but I can just my drop the mic is with Sean Tucker. The team can't pressure the passer consistently. There's injuries in the secondary. They can't/won't bother to tackle. This is why people want to ask me why Dennis Allen get fired in the middle of the season. Dennis Allen was supposed to be a defensive expert. Is frankly a very good defensive coach. But the only thing he had to hang his hat on was, hey, my defense has still been pretty damn good, since Sean Payton has left. Well, that hasn't happened this year. Even those first 2 wins, they were giving up yards in bunches. They just stiffened up in the red zone. Once the offensive injuries started to happen, this is not a defense that's going to hold anybody under 20 points. Frankly, I'm happy when they hold someone under 28 points. This defense has just been awful. It aged fast, I think, is what happened.
Bob, you said a lot, and you triggered some PTSD for me because the Falcons had everybody you named their quarterback: Bobby Hebert, Billy Joe Holbert, Billy Oliver. I'm like, gosh, and that was preceding Chris Chandler for me. But anyway, we're not talking about them. I called Wole a pastor earlier, and speaking of pastors, the last time I believe these two teams played, Pastor Jameis, he landed a Hail Mary like in the end of the first half. The Saints steal that one, and prior to that, Robert Griffin, 2012, a rookie quarterback, went to New Orleans, had an amazing debut. Can Jaden Daniels replicate that? Are you guys nervous that you could see another performance from a Washington rookie like you saw Robert Griffin pull off back in 2012?
Listen, Jaden Daniels could not only equal that performance by RG, he's going to better it. The only thing that I could think of when I watched Drew effing Lock run against this Saints defense was, oh my God, Daniels is going to run for 250 yards against this defense.
Wow.
They cannot stay disciplined in their pass rush lanes, and as a result, average athletes like Locke and and Mayfield and some others have picked up key gains on the ground. Average athletes, and now you're talking about an elite caliber athlete in Jaden Daniels, who reads defenses far better than what I thought he would as a rookie quarterback. You got a receiver like Terry McLaurin. I see Jaden Daniels having his way with this defense. Either with his legs and with his arm. The Saints have some talent. Brian Bresee has been playing like a beast lately. Their only hope, New Orleans, is to get interior pressure on Daniels while those outside edge rushers maintain gap discipline. So when Daniels does escape the rush, a Chase Young or a Cam Jordan or a Carl Granderson can get him on the ground. I say that as the way to contain or beat Jaden Daniels, but I have yet to see the Saints do it consistently this year.
Woo, man, there's the segue right there, because Chase Young, of course, is from this area. He played for the Commanders. A lot of fans do not like him. I'll just be honest, just because they feel like his effort is not always the greatest. Last week is a great example against the Giants. He had like 18 pressures, but he didn't seem to be able to get home. And that's what all the Washington fans were watching, saying, same old Chase. How has he even received in New Orleans? I thought he was going to have a resurgent year with you guys, but just hasn't kind of worked out. What's your perception, and what's the overall perception?
I thought Chase was going to have a bit of a resurgence too, because as you guys have seen in Washington, he's flashed the talent. We saw in San Francisco last year after that deal, he flashed the talent. I thought, okay, maybe he just needs to stay healthy because he's had some bad injury luck. But after watching Chase for all of this season, I questioned his effort at first, but then I came around to the thinking of, I think he plays hard. He's just not a finisher. He's not the guy, the pass rusher that you build your defense around. You're a great complimentary guy. If Cam was still in his prime, Cam would have his typical double-digit sacks, and Chase would probably be around 8-10 sacks. Because he had so much talent on that defensive line with you guys in Washington. He had so much talent on that defensive line in San Francisco, and as a result, he flashed the ability of a playmaker. Well, when New Orleans brought him in, the Saints brought him in with the idea, with the hope that Chase Young, you're going to be our playmaker. And why not? When you draft a guy second overall, and when a guy is the second overall draft pick, he's supposed to be a finisher, right? So the criticism of Chase Young is kind of valid in the way that, he's not the next Lawrence Taylor, he's not the next Dexter Manley, he's not the next Cam Jordan, et cetera, et cetera. I see Chase Young as a very good complementary piece, but not a guy that you could build your defense around. And since that defensive line is lacking at talent on the edge, the expectations of Chase are just far beyond his physical capabilities, I think.
Okay, so this is it. So, but I'm glad that they don't have that much hate for Chase. This is good. I'm glad you don't have that much hate for Chase. These folks over here hate Chase. They overly hate Chase, and I like, he hasn't produced, and I get it. He's the second pick overall, so there comes responsibility with that. Like, so but he had, to your point, he has shown flashes. But like I never thought about that, like him not being a closer, because like Ray mentioned, he's always like in pressures, like he's always around, like he never finishes. So I think that's a really good description of Chase Young. He's not a finisher.
Yeah, and you go back and watch that film with Chase. Yeah, and like I said, I had to do it to realize, okay, I don't think it's necessarily an effort thing, but with the greats, with the LTs, with the Reggie Whites, with the with the Watt brothers, you see that closing burst to the ball with the Micah Parsons, et cetera. I don't see that closing burst with Chase. I as a result, I had to go back and watch him with Washington and even watch him in college. And I came to the realization, I'm like, you know what? Yeah, he has power. Yeah, he has speed. He just doesn't have that extra gear to get to the ball. And that's what the great ones have.
Totally agree. I kind of like that. Totally agree. So for the Washington fans, right? They're watching this, they're thinking the Saints, they come off a bye. So for Washington fans, what would you tell them is the biggest strength of the New Orleans Saints?
Biggest strength on offense for the Saints, it's undoubtedly Alvin Kamara. And even without that talent around Kamara, he's continued to produce. Despite the extra defensive attention. So if you're Washington, you need to find a way to contain Kamara. You don't try to one-on-one him when he gets into the open field as a receiver. You just basically bracket him, try to make Hainer, Carr, Rattler, whoever it is, use Kamara as a check down option rather than a primary receiver. And then you do what the Giants did. You stack that box. You make the offensive line open those cutback lanes for Kamara, because if they don't, and they haven't been, then Kamara has the best balance of any running back maybe I've ever seen. At the very least, it's certainly elite balance. So you got to get a hat on Alvin in the backfield as soon as he gets the ball. He may spin and get back to the line of scrimmage. But he's not going to own the day against you. Then on defense, Demario Davis is still. I mentioned how the defense has gotten old fast. Demario has clearly lost a step, but he's still among the best linebackers in the league. You can't let Demario Davis make a momentum-changing play, get a hit on Robinson or get a hit on Daniels in the open field, cause a couple of rush throws via blitz or something like that. I acknowledge Brescia is playing out of his mind, so you probably put a double team on him, make those edge guys, force those edge guys to beat you. But the one guy that I'm focused on for the New Orleans defense is Demario Davis. I'm identifying him, and I'm making him. If my play call is going away from Demario's side, I'm still throwing up traffic, putting those speed bumps in his way to get to the ball, because the thing with this defense is, when Demario makes a play, that seems to fire up the entire unit. So he's you don't want him to cause that that power resurgence. So like I said, he's still going to get his tackles, but you just put as many bodies as you can between him and the ball, and you'll have a successful day.
So, and also on the flip side, I mean, I'm gonna stay with that. Who would you say would spy a Jaden Daniels?
Probably Demario, because Pete Warner, and that's what I've seen from the Saints before when they faced an athlete at quarterback, that they've used Demario for a spy. I personally don't like that, because a guy with Demario Davis, he's a pit bull. I want to take that leash off and just tell him to go get the ball. But I see the reasoning behind it. Another possibility, because Pete Warner, God bless him, because he plays with so much heart and he's such a tough player, he's not going to match up athletically against Daniels in the open field. I might be tempted to use more 3 linebacker alignments and bring in Willie Gay. Willie Gay has not had the year I thought he would when New Orleans signed him from Kansas City. I overestimated his play awareness, his play anticipation. But the one thing about Gay is he's a heck of an athlete. And I go back a couple years ago when Kansas City faced Philadelphia in the Super Bowl. Gay was actually used to spy Jalen Hurts that day, and did so pretty well. So if I'm Joe Woods, and Darren Rizzi, I think I'm tempted to play more 3 linebacker alignments. That way, DeMario can be DeMario, and I tell Gay, I said, you see Jaden Daniels everywhere he goes, you go. You're my spy this afternoon.
Okay, so that's good to know. So on the flip side, we just spoke of the strengths. What are some of the weaknesses of this team?
How much time do we got left? Because
we can just like, we got time. I'm just saying we do got time. But
I'll tell you, on offense, you got to start with the offensive line. Injuries have been a viable excuse for the uneven / poor performance of the blocking all year long. But last week they had their starting 5 back for the first time since the 3rd play of week 3. And they played so badly. Like I compared them to a junior high unit. They were missing assignments. They had no cohesion, no communication. I'm hoping that gets better because I think Talise Fuaga on the left side. He's a player. He's going to be a Pro Bowler. Trevor Penning is having his best year and probably saved his career by moving to right tackle. And Eric McCoy is one of the most underrated centers in the game. Where teams are beating up the Saints, where the Giants had a lot of success. Fuaga and Penning both had off days. But they were having a lot of success on the inside. Cesar Ruiz, maybe the most overrated interior lineman in the history of interior linemen. You throw a little bit of movement at Cesar Ruiz, and he's wailing at you, like a herd of mosquitoes. Lucas Patrick on the other side. Lucas has done a serviceable job this year, but it looks like he is still having problems with that ankle. So he's having issues with mobility. So now you have, if you're Eric McCoy, you have weaknesses on both sides of you. You have human turnstiles on both sides of you, and opponents have recognized that. And even when the starting 3 interior players have been on the field, they have just attacked that section. Clint Kubiak's offense, they want to establish the off tackle runs, pitch plays, things like that. But if the interior pressure is in the backfield so fast, then you can't even get your runners to the outside. That a play action rollout on a passing play, it pressures on the quarterback too fast. It's been ineffective. We could talk about the talent deficiencies at receiver with Olave, with Rashid out. You're missing a valuable, versatile weapon in Taysom Hill, but you got to win your assignments up front, and that's where the Saints offense has been failing very consistently all year long.
Man, Paul, you trying to steal my thunder,
bro?
I
saw.
Yeah, go on.
I'll let you go first right before I put the question out there.
I'll put it up there. Paul said, how do you think Marshawn Lattimore will be received by fans? Also, what are you expecting from him if he plays for Washington against his old team this Sunday?
Well, I'll tell you, I think Lattimore is going to play. I don't know what happened on his way out the door, but he wanted out of New Orleans. Frankly, I think that it was a rift in the relationship between him and Dennis Allen. We'll probably never find that out for sure. But yeah, 100%, I expect Lattimore to play. And Lat will do what Lat does. They'll identify the best New Orleans receiver, and you got to say that's been Marquez Valdes-Scantling because he's made a lot of plays down the field. But Scantling's a big guy. He's fast, but he's not shifty, and it's always the shifty guys that have given Lattimore problems. I see Washington telling Lattimore, at MVS, you go get him. He is yours today. As far as the way Marshawn is going to be received, let's just say it's not going to be as well received as, say, when Sean Payton came back with the Denver Broncos on that Thursday night game. A lot of the fan base is pissed at Lattimore, and I cannot figure out why. Because this is the best cornerback in franchise history, bar none. It's not even close. The ending might not have been the way that you wanted it to come. But I mean, Lattimore was classy going out the door. He didn't take any shots at anybody or anything like that. But the fan base our fan base was growing increasingly infuriated with Lattimore over the last 3 years because of the amount of time that he was missing with injury. And it's an incorrect perception if you ask me, but now the perception is going to be, oh, he goes to another team and he's going to be able to play against us. Well, I mean, obviously Lattimore's injury was legitimate because he has missed, he's missed every game for Washington since his trade. Frankly, I've questioned in the past his ability to play with injuries, willingness to play with injuries, but it's quite clear that whatever was ailing him when the Saints traded him in the first place, that he continued to have problems with it, because it's not like he suited up for you guys right away.
Yeah, that was the thing. At first we were like, folks were like, oh, the trade, he's gonna be okay. But then, the injury was just a lot of folks thought it was like a BS. It was a BS thing to a certain extent. And then to a point where when he was missing games, like, oh, this is a legit injury. Like, this is legit, because there were some key games throughout the process that you would want to have Latimer out there, and he just wasn't able to make it. So I totally agree with you that this injury has been something to monitor. And also Coach Quinn stated out there already that that this wasn't a trade for this year. It was more of a trade, like if they couldn't have him for this season, they would be fine to have him for next year healthy. So to your point, Lattimore, this trade was definitely something real, rather than what folks would say, this trade was like not a real thing. He just wanted out of New Orleans. But like Paul mentioned Kool-Aid, the cornerback Kool-Aid for you all. But how is he doing out there? How is he doing out there in New Orleans? Because I did like him out of the draft.
Kool-Aid's playing pretty well. I could see him. It's way too early to call him a shutdown corner, but he has those attributes. While I was surprised a little bit, that the Saints did select him in the second round, because this was a deep cornerback unit last year. Alontae Taylor, Paulson Adebo, Marshawn Lattimore. As soon as they made that pick in the draft, I knew right then, okay, Marshawn, I didn't expect Marshawn to be traded this season, but I knew right then, I'm like, either Marshawn Lattimore or Paulson Adebo are not going to be a New Orleans Saint in 2025. Paulson's going to be a free agent, and, Marshawn has a major escalation in his cap hit. So I figured for sure New Orleans would make a decision to keep one of them, willingly move on from the other, and then kind of promote Kool-Aid and move Alontae around the formation like they have pretty successfully this year. But because of injuries, that to Lattimore, Adebo out for the year, and even Alontae being a little bit nicked up, he hasn't missed time, but he's been hampered. Kool-Aid has had to be pressed into more action than what I think the Saints anticipated right away, and he's handled it really well. I mean, like any rookie cornerback, he's going to give up some throws, but over the last few weeks, who I'm seeing opponents. I'm seeing opponents target Alontae Taylor in one-on-one coverage more often than I'm seeing Kool-Aid McKinstry. And I thought Kool-Aid played really well. When he was matched up through the first three quarters, anyway, against Neighbors, Wandale Robinson, and Darius Slayton last week. And those three are good, good wide receivers. Neighbors has the potential to be very good. And I thought Kool-Aid handled his own very well. Gave up a couple catches in the fourth quarter when the entire defense broke down predictably. But Kool-Aid McKinstry looks like a cornerback that you can build your secondary around.
That's good. I did like the draft pick selection. I do think he's a talented corner. I know we spoke about a dangerous player in terms of Kamara, but other than Kamara, who for the Saints offensively do you feel like Washington really has to worry about?
Well, we mentioned more, Valdez Scantling. Okay. He's settled into this New Orleans system really well. And it's gonna be a real shame if Derek Carr doesn't play, because those two clearly had a rapport. Outside of that, I think the tight ends, Juwan Johnson and Foster Moreau, have been playing really well over the last 2 or 3 weeks. And hopefully that can continue, because assuming, again, the Carr is going to be sidelined, what's a young quarterback's best friend? It's a tight end that's going to get a quick separation for you over the middle. Now Juwan has been so infuriating. I root for him like crazy. I've loved him since college. But he's so infuriating because he's so inconsistent. Not necessarily with drops, but inconsistent with his separation. He'll just disappear for long stretches or multiple games in a row. But when he's on, he's a real mismatch, because as a former wideout, he can run the full route tree. He's an athletic mismatch for linebackers and a size mismatch for a a lot of safeties. So if you can get Jawan Johnson involved, and Foster Moreau isn't nearly the athlete that Jawan is, but he's been making some acrobatic catches lately. I think you need to get those two tight ends involved, and if you do that, that might pinch Washington's coverage inside, or maybe bring them up if you hit them with a lot of quick passes over the middle, and then you'll have your chance to hit Valdez Scantling over your top.
See, Ray, you did a good job. You recommending him? He's awesome. Ray. He's awesome. Bob is awesome.
Hey, you've done a great job, Bob. You triggered me a little bit, but you've done a great job. Not to mention Curtis Lofton too. That he came to mind as well. Just a player that we share mutual interest in. But we're not quite at the days of the Aints though, right, Bob? It's not that bad where the bags are covering faces. So this team can compete. I believe that on Sunday. I don't know if would you take the over under with the point spread where it is right now?
I would take Washington in the points. If you told me Derek Carr was playing, then I'd say, okay, I'd give the Saints a puncher's chance here. Because Derek throws a pretty deep ball, and he's having an underrated year. But without Derek Carr, I don't care whether it's Jake Haener, I don't care whether it's Spencer Rattler. This team doesn't have enough weapons to support an inexperienced quarterback. That's going to have kind of a deer in the headlights look as it is. And then on defense, we talked about. I don't see how New Orleans is going to match up with the athletes that Washington has. McLaurin might be contained well enough by Kool-Aid and Alante, but the Saints defense hasn't stopped the run all year. And now they're going up. We talked about Jaden Daniels. We haven't talked about enough about Robinson, who I think is one of the more underrated backs in the league. Robinson's liable to have 150 yards on these guys. I see Washington, unless Washington turns the ball over a couple times. And the one thing that this Saints defense has done very well this year is force turnovers. Mm-hmm. If they get a couple turnovers early and a couple easy scores with short fields, then New Orleans obviously has a chance. But if Washington can sustain some drives, force some 3 and outs by the Saints, I can see Washington winning this thing by 20 points.
Sheesh. Now you got me thinking about playing Brian Robinson Jr. on my fantasy team. My money.
If you have Brian Robinson Jr., you play him against New Orleans.
But I got Bob. It's so hard because Bob, I have Mixon and I have Brown for the Bengals, and they're both like awesome, like at running back.
They are.
Now I'm stressing out. Now they have me stressing out.
Hey, do you have a flex? You use Robinson there?
I have a flex, but I don't have a flex, so we can only have 2 running backs or 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers.
Don't overthink it, my friend.
One running back, 3 wide receivers. You know what I mean?
No, man, you got to look at the man. I don't know who Cincinnati is playing. I don't know who.
They play Dallas, or I mean, they play
Dallas. They play like a weak team, though. I think they're not playing Pittsburgh and not playing the Ravens. I think they're playing a weak team. He's supposed to get a lot of points too. This is stressful now. Like I want to play Robinson, but I'm like, if you get hurt too, like season he gets hurt. Oh, this is like now I have to think about this. You've now like convinced me to think about it, because initially I was like, I'm good. Now I had to go back and think about this.
Well, listen, I mean, you guys cover Washington, and like you said, the only down part about Robinson is his penchant for injuries. Yeah, and I know he's missed some time and has been slowed, in quite a few different games this year. Mm-hmm. But even if he's an 85-90% healthy back, you take him against New Orleans. You trust me on that one.
Okay, yeah, because he's been good. Like when he's on the field, when he gets 15 to 20 carries against whoever, he's been good. Like that's not like, to your point, he's been consistent. It's just that these injuries have kind of piled up. But he's tough though. I've always said this, because he gets a bum rap here for his injuries. But I've always said, like, if you watch him play, he fights through injuries. It's not like he's a guy that's just trying to sit. The injuries are typically so severe that he can't play. It's not a thing where he doesn't, like you were talking about, you questioned Marshawn for playing with injury. Like, folks should never question Brian Robinson Jr. playing with injury. The dude came back with a gunshot wound from the leg. Like, he was really
right. Right. That's all I need to know.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't get that.
Hey, Bob, man, if Marshawn Lattimore tries to plant the flag, though, they need to go after him on this Sunday. You don't let that disrespect come into your house like that.
Marshawn has so many close friends on this team. I'm not sure they'd go after him. Rizzy might go after him and throw hands, but I'm not. I'm not sure many of the players would do that.
Oh, I know that's right. Hey, so Bob, before we let you go, man, this has been dope. Before we let you go, how can folks catch you on social media, and also how can they catch your content, your podcast, everything? Plug whatever you want to plug here.
Oh, well, hey, Ray, I appreciate you guys having me on. We'll have to do this a couple times in the off season to get together.
Yeah.
But folks, you can follow my work. I am a senior writer, one of the senior writers for the Saints News Network, which you can find Saints News Network on Twitter, on Facebook. We also do the content for the New Orleans Saints for the SI.com team site, so check that out. I post all of my articles on my personal social media pages. Bob Rose on Facebook, at Bobby R 2613 on Twitter, and I also post our links to our Bayou Blitz podcast, where Brendan Boylan and I do a weekly show, as well as a live pregame show and a tape postgame show. We've had some great guests in the past few weeks. So you can catch out the past shows, a couple of Saints Hall of Famers, promoting a big Go Black and Gold Cruise event. We're like you guys. We talk football, we joke around, we have fun, and we don't pull any punches. You can check us out. Typically, we go Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 Central. This week we're moving to Thursday because Brendan, last I checked, is stranded out in the Rocky Mountains, so I think he's going to have to get home. But you can check out all of our past shows as well on wherever you find your podcasts. You can find Bayou Blitz on YouTube, but also Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Red Circle, and I post the links on my personal pages as well.
Well, Bob, we appreciate you being on. Before I let you go, who was your favorite all-time Saint? Then we've been going retro. So, who was your favorite Saint? Period. I don't even care if he's a Hall of Famer. Who was your favorite Saint?
My favorite Saint all time is Pat Swilling.
That was the same thing. That was my favorite.
Yeah, I mean, you got to go Dome Patrol. I grew up watching the Dome Patrol, through my formative years as a fan. I love Ricky Jackson, Vaughn Johnson, Sam Mills, but Pat Swilling was the guy. You want to talk about a burst to the ball, like we were talking about Chase Young before. But I mean, so many guys. You guys know what a privilege it is to do this. For a living and interact with fans. It's even more of a thrill when you get to interview or get to know the guys that you grew up watching. The autographed jersey behind me, Jim Everett and I have become, I can call him a pretty good friend. Awesome. Quinn Early, some other Saints that I literally grew up watching. It's hard not to be fanboy when you're talking about them, and to maintain a personal level of professionalism. But that's why doing this is so much fun, even when your team is having a down year.
No, I agree. I agree. Pat Swilling was one of my favorites of all time. It was not Reggie Bush. Reggie Bush was like one of my seconds or third. It was not Reggie Bush. Pat Swilling was definitely because Tecmo. He was on Tecmo Bowl too.
Yeah,
he was on Tecmo Bowl. I know this. Believe me, Pat Swilling was.
I don't have a favorite Saint, and I never will.
Of course, you were Atlanta.
Nor should you.
You shouldn't.
Nor should you. Well, I mean, I joke, Ray, that my favorite Saint is his favorite Falcon is Lance Moore because he was smart enough to retire before he took the field with you guys. You and I are going to have to go back and forth a couple times when these teams play next year.
Hey, at least we split this year, so I'm not mad at that one at all.
Look, I like. Hey, what the Saints did to the Cowboys, they will always be one of my favorite teams this season. You know what I'm saying? What they did to the Cowboys this year was amazing.
That's immaculate.
Fair. It was immaculate. It was awesome.
By the way, Bob, before we let you go, Wole, he hates Sean Payton, and when you had that call against the Rams in the playoffs that was missed, he's like, "Stop crying, stop crying."
I was that person. Because the arrogance got to me. Like he did some things against Washington I didn't like. I was like, come on.
Oh God! I mean, I won't mince words. I love Sean Payton, but when I'm going against Sean Payton, I despise Sean Payton because I mean, he is arrogant. He has an ego that barely fit into the Superdome, but that's what we loved about him. And that the corrupt Goodell regime flat out stole a Super Bowl from New Orleans. Even if you love to hate the Saints, you have to admit that was absolute travesty and robbery right there.
It was bad, but I was like, the whole time I was making excuses. I ain't gonna tell. Lorraine knows this. I was like, well, they missed the late hit on that was the like the Rams game, right? The Rams, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I was like, Jared Goff got hit with a late hit, and they didn't call it. So I was like, look, see, they missed that one. You got no one complained about that call.
It happens to everybody, Bob. The Falcons the year before the Tom Brady debacle was winning 17-0 against the 49ers in the NFC Championship game. Matt Ryan does one of his infamous drives down to like the 10 and can't score, but there was a pass interference, blatant one on Roddy White at the end of that game. Wasn't called because the league knows who they want when they want them, and they robbed you guys that day. I wasn't mad about it, but at the same time, it happens to everybody, so we got to move on.
No, and you're exactly right. There's nothing that we can do about it. This is, the Goodell regime has made us feel like the WWE at times. Oh my God, I could go on and on. You could fill a show with my hatred for Roger Goodell.
I'm not a big fan of Goodell either. So you.
But Ray, you're absolutely right. It very much has the feel of, and a lot of the Who Dat Nation say, oh, Goodell hates the Saints. No, Goodell doesn't hate the Saints. Goodell's regime wants to prop up certain players, make them the faces of the league, certain teams, certain markets. That's what happened that year with Los Angeles. That's what happened that year with you guys against San Francisco, because Frisco is one of the one of the marquee NFL history's marquee teams. Packers, Steelers, Raiders, Chiefs. Well, you mark my words this year. There's never been a three-peat Super Bowl champion, right?
Uh-oh.
You want to talk about an ego? Roger Goodell loves his storylines. He's going to be able to say, well, there was the first three-peat champion was under my watch as commissioner. We've had the greatest two, and I'm using quotes now. We've had the greatest two quarterbacks in NFL history, Mahomes and Brady, under my watch. So you still with me?
Yeah, where are you?
Okay. So with Goodell, it's all about the storylines. And when I make playoff predictions, that's exactly what I make them on. Like, all right, what's going to be the storyline for the next round? Like I said, you could fill up a show and then some with my Goodell hatred.
No, you're right, because if you just watch the regular season this year with the Chiefs, it lets you know already. Like, it's the regular season games.
The tribal Chiefs, man. Atlanta was a recipient of a missed call. Kyle Pitts, clear pass interference.
Yeah.
Nobody said anything, but they got the same call, a weaker call the week before that. But you know what? I'm not going to go into the conspiracy theories, but we all know it's true, though. I've heard it from some trusted names that will not go on record. But, Bob, I appreciate you. Held you a little bit longer than probably we should have, but thanks again, brother.
Yeah, you were awesome, Bob. Appreciate you, Bob.
Guys, thank you so much. It's been my pleasure. Like I said, we'll have to do this again. And you guys know how to reach me. I know how to reach you.
Yeah, see you right now. Thanks, Bob. Appreciate it.
Take care.
I'll take care. Yeah, awesome, man. That was awesome. Let me change this. Change our shot. See, Ray, I'm starting to vibe. Look, Ray, this ain't bad. This ain't a bad look, Ray.
Yeah, the midday feel. This is a little bit later than midday.
It was. But let me ask you real quick, because we're not going to really be doing this in terms of getting a Commanders perspective. What do you think are the keys to the 4 Commanders victory over the Saints?
Well, my thing is this.
And folks chime in, and folks in the chat chime in. What's the keys to a victory for the Commanders?
To me, the Commanders, we already know offensively what they bring to the table because of their quarterback, because of their top receiver, and because they have a running back that's going against the worst rush defense in the league. However, where New Orleans is going to try to exploit the Commanders is obviously in the passing game, because we know the defensive backfield, even if Marshawn Lattimore is making his first appearance, this is his first game back. I don't know. We should expect much from him. But if you pressure Spencer Rattler, if you watched him play, this young guy right now, as he adjusts to the league, he can't handle that pressure up front. So guys like Frankie Louvu are going to be huge, who just plays like a wild man. That's Doc Walker's guy. He likes lunatics, as he calls them, and dogs. And that's what you got to do. You got to go in and be dogs. Also, you got to know what's at stake. I feel like if they handle their business, they can lock up a playoff spot the next couple of weeks. Then you can potentially get some rest going into the playoffs. You also, with the discord in Philly, you have to have that sense of urgency that maybe we can still win this division. So I think there's a lot at stake. You go in that game with the mental mindset to still accomplish all your goals, that's going to be key. And I know people might say that's cliche, but a couple weeks ago, everybody was talking about why this team seemed to come out flat.
Yeah.
And you can't have that. And New Orleans is still a tough place to play, regardless of what their team looks like. That dome is rocking when the fans show up, and it's such a passionate fan base that they're going to be there. I'm not saying it's going to be a sellout now, but they'll be there.
And Washington fans do travel too. And Washington fans travel too. They were there. Sure. You reference it's wild because you reference Griffin's. Okay. You reference Griffin's 2012. Yeah. That game, a lot of fans came over to that game. You remember that game? That game had a lot of Washington folks in that game. And actually, I have friends who are traveling out there for the game just because, you know what I mean? It's New Orleans.
It's New Orleans, for sure.
Yeah, so they want to, and, you know, it's the team. But you mentioned, like, Spencer Rattler playing, which I'm a Spencer Rattler supporter. So I won't even hold you. Like, I support the kid. I think he just needs some time to get situated. I think he could be the future quarterback for the Saints down the road. But, you know, according to Bob, he said Jake Haener would probably be the best, you know, player to start in a game against Washington. I think, you know, if Carr doesn't play, it's nothing wrong with going with the guy who you feel like is your future. If you feel like Haener's going to be in your future, then you play him. But if you think if you feel like Rattler is in your future, he should be playing to get this experience for Washington. So to your point, if he's playing, Washington needs to pressure him and force it to make mistakes. Because you watch him in South Carolina. Even I thought his last year in South Carolina was better than, you know, his prior year. But if you pressure him, he'll turn the ball over. That's just what he is. He'll turn the ball over.
All saying tune-up still, yeah.
I mean, they're missing a lot of players. I feel like, you know, you got to look at it like if Washington plays the way they need to play, then it shouldn't be a hard game, to be real with you. But you can't always expect that they're going to play a clean game even after a bye. Like, your expectation is for them to play good football after a bye. That should be your expectation. Earl. Offense get off to a quick start because the defense plays great when they're playing with the lead. I
appreciate the comment, Earl, for sure, man. Earl, you definitely you want to step on their necks early. I'm totally with that.
I totally agree. So they do that, then I feel like they have they'd be in a better situation to be successful. But to do that, my key is he, like Bob mentioned, B-Rob. He needs to be the thing. He needs to be the star. He needs to be the dude showcase. B-Rob, and then you're running off of if it's Chris Rodriguez, if it's McNichols, like those that should be what you roll with, and then after that you utilize Jayden to do Jayden things. But you mentioned it, Ray, one of the worst run defenses, right? Take advantage of it. Take advantage of that. You know, you got B-Rob, run him. You know, Bob said he should get like 150. All right, well, give him an opportunity to get 150. You know what I mean? Win the time possession game. I think that's key. And do not turn the football over. If you don't turn the football over, I think you'll be fine in this game. So that would be my key for Commanders victory. All right, Ray, give me predictions real quick before we end the show.
I got the Commanders big 30. I got Commanders 36-14.
Okay. I got the Commanders 31-17. You know, 31-17. But anyway, we appreciate y'all for tuning in. But you know, I'm gonna be Pastor Wole, like Ray talked about, because I'm a pastor or whatnot. So I gotta make sure. Hey, Sunday we'll have a recap of the game. So tune in at 7:30 for the Commander Saints recap. It'll be streaming live on our YouTube, X, IG, and Facebook accounts. I'm not sure who's gonna be the guest for that show. I have to think about who I'll have as a guest. Hey, also subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, and other podcast platforms. Just search the Urban Sports Scene. When you subscribe to these podcast platforms, if there's a rating system, rate us, give us a 5-star. Also, comment too. That does well for podcast algorithms. I've learned about that. So comment as well. If you're on YouTube right now watching this, you know, on our channel, hit that rate, subscribe button. Also like this video. Does well for the algorithms. Not gonna lie to you. And I'm seeing the algorithm work, so I'm kind of seeing an uptake in viewership. So hit that like button, hit the red subscribe button as well. You know, y'all getting us up there, so I appreciate y'all. And also help us get to 900 subscribers. So we're almost there. So y'all hit that red subscribe button. You'll get us to 900 subscribers. And also check out the home of the Urban Sports Scene, our website, which is www.urbansportscene.com. All right, anyway, we appreciate all y'all for tuning in, chiming in. Paul, Eric, everybody else, George, I saw in the chat. Trying to see who else I saw. Yeah, all y'all for chiming in, even folks viewing on X. IG wasn't working, because there's probably some
IG is messed up in general right now. Like I'm
IG's messed up. Yeah,
I'm having problems with it, and
Yeah.
I can't even upload stories.
Yeah,
right
exactly.
Now.
Yeah, and I think Facebook may be having issues too. Like you said, I think it's a meta thing. Yeah. My man. Oh yeah, HBCU pass, man. Appreciate you for tuning in too, bro. But yeah, I think it's a meta. Like you said, I think it's a meta thing for real, bro. I think it's a meta thing. But anyway, man, appreciate y'all for tuning. Anyway, you've been listening to the Urban Sports Scene for ages. You dig? Deuces. We are